how's it going? This is Darrin Goodman from GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson today. Today we're going to be looking at some riffs from the song Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day. I like to use this song in teaching with my private lessons and stuff because it has kind of an unusual timing, and it's just kind of a good one to learn how to count with, and learn how to to do more than just playing 1, 2, 3, 4. There's more to it. So be sure to click on the link in the description for the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look at it. Right, so if you look at the tabs for this, there are a lot of chords in this song. We're not going to go through all of the chords ahead of time, and you'll see why once we get into it. And they have, a lot of them have really crazy names and stuff. You don't need to be worried about that or intimidated by that. It's actually pretty simple once you just see how it works. All right, so the very first chord, we are on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and I'm using my 3rd finger, and the 2nd fret of the, or excuse me, the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with my 1st finger, and I'm playing the 3rd string open. So it's simply, you just pick, starting on string 4, you go 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2. So pretty straightforward. So the timing for this, the first 5 notes are 8th notes, and then the very last note is a dotted quarter note. So when you're 1 and 2 and 3, 4, and excuse me, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So the very last note is taking, it's on the and of 3, the downbeat of 4, and the and of 4. So that's what makes this kind of a little unusual. So for this whole section that we're going to be looking at right now, it's that same timing. It's just that the lowest note is going to start moving down. So the very first measure is this chord that we're looking at right now, which is just a G5. And you repeat that 4 times. And then starting on the second verse, this is where the second measure, this is where the verse begins. And so it's that same one more measure of that same chord. And then we move to the next chord, which is G5 over F sharp. And it's not as complicated as it sounds. You simply move this note that you're playing here, this G on the 5th fret of the 4th string. We're going to move that down a half step to the 4th fret. So we just move from playing the 5th fret with your 3rd finger to playing the 4th fret with your 2nd finger, and it's the same timing. Next chord is G5 over E. So this note now is going to move from the 4th fret to the 2nd fret. And we are going to, and this note needs to stay the same, but we're going to have to switch which fingers we use. So instead of using my 1st finger on the 2nd string, I'm going to use my 2nd finger, and then my 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So one thing you might want to practice is making that transition. Actually, I guess for me, I prefer to use my 3rd finger. Just makes it a little more comfortable. It's almost like you've, like a D chord, but you're going to move your, no 2nd finger and move your 1st finger to the 4th string. So if you practice making that transition, just back and forth like that, until you get used to it, it makes it a whole lot easier. Okay, so after this measure, the 4th measure, to the fifth major, which is G5 over D. So you just simply remove your first finger, so now the fourth string is open. All right, so those first 5 measures again, and again this first measure repeat 4 times. So that brings us to the sixth measure, which is just a C chord, but we're not going to do the open chord, we're going to do a bar chord. So I'm fretting the 3rd fret of the 5th string with my first finger, and the 5th fret of the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings with my 3rd finger. And we've got the same timing, but now instead of just being on strings 2, 3, and 4, now we're going to go 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. And we switch to a C minor. So you can keep your 3rd finger right where it is. Your first finger stays where it is as well. And you take your 3rd finger, and instead of barring, just roll it up so you're just fretting that 4th string. Put your 4th finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and your 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 2nd string, and the same picking pattern and timing again. 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. So that transition again from the C to the C minor. And then back to the first chord again. So your 3rd finger is already where it needs to be. So you just simply remove your 2nd and 4th finger and drop your 1st finger down to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string again. 2 measures of that. And then that's the beginning of a repeat. So you go back to the 2nd measure, and you repeat that again all the way up to that point. And then from there, it goes into the bridge section. So here, this first chord, it's a G6, but if you just simply play a G chord and just remove your 4th finger so that way the first string is open. So I'm on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, 5th string is actually just played open, but just because I've already have muscle memory to grab this G chord, I just go ahead and put my finger down there anyway. And then the 3rd string is open, and then I'm playing the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with my 3rd finger. So now we go 6, 3, 2, 3, 6, 2. Okay, so it's the same timing as before. And then you do, on the next measure, the chord changes partially through the, halfway through the measure. So you go 6, 3, 2, 3, and then we're going to move the bass note from the 3rd fret of the 6th string to the 2nd fret. And then we just go 6, 3, 2, 1, and that first string is open. So, and that's all 8th notes, just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and then from there, it goes to an E minor, a B minor, and a C, and then it repeats that measure that we just did again. So what makes this kind of easy is that you don't really have to look at the tabs oh, let's see, that's the 2nd fret, all that kind of stuff. If you just know how to play an E minor chord, put your fingers on for the E minor, and then pick the strings 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2 to a B minor. Same as the C minor chord we did, we just moved it down a half step. 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. To that C major bar chord chord again, 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. And then we repeat that measure at C major 11, where it switches from G6 to G6 suspended 2 over F sharp. Again, you know, crazy name, but so I do like the G chord with the the first string open. 6, 3, 2, 3. Move the bass note to the second fret of the 6th string. 6, 3, 2, 1. And again, that's, you know, all 8th notes. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, and then from there, it goes back to an E minor again. B minor again. C again. And now a D. So we just take that and slide it up a whole step. And now we're back into another verse. So it's the same as the verse was at the beginning. Start off with the G5. G5 over F sharp. G5 over E. G5 over D. C major. Minor, and now to the G6. We repeat that twice. Now we go back to the first chord again, the G5, and this time we're going to repeat it 6 times. And this is section E, and on the tabs it just has the reference that this is where the drums come in. Whoops. Okay, so after you repeat that verse, or excuse me, that measure, where section E where the drums enter 6 times, then you go on to a verse. And now this verse we're going to have a little bit of a change from the previous one. It starts off the same way. Okay, but here now is where the heavy guitars come in. So it's going to be the same chords, the C minor, and the G, but now you're going to want to turn on your distortion. So this is also a good practice to make the switch between playing with clean and distortion with using a foot switch, because you don't want there to be a pause. You know, it has to happen in real time. So when I'm coming off of that, then switch to distortion. So it's the C. I'm doing all downstrokes as 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 to C minor to G. And then it repeats by going back to the clean part again. And then back into that distortion part. So I'm going to play that whole section, making the switch between the clean and the distorted tone. So. So from there, we're off to section G, which is the bridge. So you ended on the last section. We ended on that G chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next measure continues with that for 1 and 2 and then it switches to G over F sharp. So for that, got the G, and then I just simply lift my second finger off and replace my first finger on the 2nd fret of the 6th string. So 1 and 2 then to an E minor for a whole measure, B minor, C, G over F sharp, minor, E minor, C, D. Okay, and then from there it switches back to the clean tone, back to another verse. And then switches back into the distortion again for another chorus. Okay, so after that chorus, it goes into the guitar solo, so that will be where we leave off on this, and in the second half of this video, we will cover the guitar solo, the rhythm guitar for the solo, and the solo itself, and finish out the song. All right, so I hope you got something out of that and enjoyed it. If you like this video, be sure to leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, and look out for part 2 of this. It'll be coming at your way soon. So until next time.